Three guys, same dock at Truman Lake, Missouri. Same morning, same water, same brush pile sitting 12 feet down. One of them, an old-timer, maybe 70, wearing a beat-up Carhartt jacket and running a $12 rod from Walmart, pulled 19 crappie in under 2 hours. The other two, younger guys with $400 spinning combos and fish finders strapped to their kayaks, went home with 4 fish between them. The old man wasn't in a secret spot. He wasn't using magic bait. He pulled a worn foam peg float from his shirt pocket, clicked it onto his line at exactly 6 feet, pinched 3 BB split shots below it, dropped a shiner on a size 6 hook, and cast. No ceremony. No apps. No sonar. In 40 seconds, the float disappeared under the surface. He set the hook. Crappie. He did that 19 times. Drop a comment below telling me what state you're watching from. I want to see where this is hitting home. Those other two guys? Their fish finders said fish were present. They were fishing present, just 10 feet below where the fish actually were. Every single cast landing in dead water. That old man hadn't used a fish finder in his life. He didn't need one. He knew something that nobody at Bass Pro is going to put on a sign. Most fish don't live on the bottom. They suspend. And if your bait is on the bottom while the fish are mid-column, you might as well be fishing in your driveway. This isn't a secret that disappeared. It's a secret that got buried. On purpose. But before I tell you why, here's the part that should make you a little angry. The American fishing industry is worth close to $50 billion a year. Rods, reels, electronics, premium line, specialized lures, all of it built around the idea that more gear equals more fish. And somewhere in the middle of all that, the simple knowledge that old river guides on the Mississippi, the Tennessee River, and the Arkansas tailwaters used for generations just vanished from the conversation. Not by accident, because you can't sell it. You can't put "fish are suspended at 6 feet today" in a blister pack and charge $40 for it. You can't turn a $0.50 foam float into a premium product with a logo and a YouTube sponsor code. So nobody talks about it. The tackle shop needs you confused, broke, and buying more gear. The guys on the Ozark Lakes who grew up fishing with cane poles and bobbers, they caught more fish than most people with modern setups catch today. Not because the fishing was better, because they knew where in the water column to put the bait. That's it. That's the whole thing. And that knowledge didn't just stop at depth. The old-timers read everything. Current breaks, temperature layers, shadow lines. That whole system got buried alongside all the gear they couldn't sell. That complete picture, depth, water reading, structure, all of it, is what I put together in high-level fishing. The water game. Fishing the wrong depth is costing you fish every single trip. The complete guide to putting your bait exactly where fish are, every time, is in the first pinned comment. Just click. But to actually fix your depth game, you need to understand what's happening biologically inside the water. Because fish don't suspend randomly. Once you get why they're up there, you'll never have to guess again. Okay, here's what's actually happening. The technique: a foam peg float and 3 BB split shot sinkers. Total cost at any Walmart in the country, under $2. Sounds too simple. I know. But listen, in almost every freshwater lake and reservoir across the U.S., from Table Rock Lake in Missouri to Santee Cooper in South Carolina to Lake Erie, there's a layer where warm surface water meets colder deep water. It's called the thermocline. Dissolved oxygen peaks right at and just above that line. Baitfish know this. They stack there. Shad, shiners, small perch. They congregate at that depth because the oxygen and temperature are right where they need to be, and where bait fish stack, predators follow. Largemouth bass, crappie, walleye, white bass, they're not sitting on the bottom waiting for something to fall. They're hovering, mid-column, eyes up, tracking bait fish. Your worm on the bottom is 8, 10, 15 feet below them. You're invisible. Now here's the part that makes this click. Fish have a lateral line, a row of sensory cells running along both sides of the body from gill to tail. It detects pressure waves and vibration in the water. A struggling, injured bait fish creates a very specific pressure signature. Irregular, weak, inconsistent. That signal travels through water for 30, 40 feet. It's a dinner bell. A live minnow suspended on a float rig at the right depth sends that exact signal. Every time the wind nudges your float, every time current pulls at the line, the bait moves. The lateral line picks it up. That's not luck triggering the strike. That's pure biology. Put the bait on the bottom, and the signal disappears into the sediment. The fish never knows you're there. Now, the exact setup, because there's one detail in how you position the weight that almost nobody gets right, and it changes how the rig presents completely. Here's what you need. A pack of foam peg floats, the cylindrical kind that lock onto your line with a rubber peg. Find them at any Walmart sporting goods section. $0.50 for a pack of 10. 3 BB split-shot sinkers, $1 for a multi-pack. 1 size 4 or 6 Aberdeen hook. A live shiner minnow or a 2-inch soft plastic swim bait. Total, under $2. 0 electronics required. Step 1. Thread your main line through the float and push the rubber peg through the center to lock it. Set it at 5 feet above your hook to start. You'll dial it in from there. Step 2. Pinch 3 BB split shots onto your line about 8 inches above the hook. Space them roughly an inch apart from each other. Here's the detail most people miss. Clumping all 3 together makes the rig drop straight and fast, like a rock. Space them out, and it falls with a slow, slightly erratic drift. Exactly like a struggling bait fish descending through the column. That spacing detail is one of the setups in the guide, alongside rigs dialed in for different species and water conditions. Step 3. Hook a live shiner just behind the dorsal fin, not through the lips. Lip-hooked minnows swim downward. Dorsal-hooked minnows swim up and side to side. That movement creates maximum vibration in the column. If you're using soft plastic, run the hook straight through the nose. Step 4. Cast past your target, let the rig settle, and watch the float for 10 full seconds before you do anything. Fish often grab the bait on the fall. If the float tilts or sinks within those first 10 seconds, set the hook immediately. Don't wait. Before you head out, pre-rig 3 or 4 floats at different depth settings and mark each one with a Sharpie. When you need to change depths on the water, you swap a whole rig in 30 seconds instead of re-rigging from scratch. Getting the rig right is most of it. But there's one mistake that completely destroys this setup. And it's so common, I've watched experienced anglers make it for years without ever figuring out what they were losing. Where to cast, focus on the shaded edge of brush piles, submerged timber, and dock pilings. In direct sunlight, suspended fish almost always hold on the shaded side of structure. On overcast days, they spread laterally. Cast wider. Best windows: the first 90 minutes of light in the morning and the last hour before dark. During those windows, bait fish push higher in the column, and predators chase them up. Your mid-column rig will be right in the middle of active feeding. Species that respond strongest to this setup: Crappie around brush piles in 6 to 10 feet of water. Largemouth bass in spring and fall. White bass during shad runs, and walleye in the Great Lakes region during low light periods. Now, the fatal mistake. The one that will erase everything you just learned if you don't fix it. Most people set their float depth when they arrive and never touch it again. That's the error. Fish move vertically through the day. The thermocline shifts as surface temperature changes with light and wind. Bait fish follow the oxygen. Predators follow the bait fish. If you haven't had a bite in 30 minutes, the fish didn't leave. They moved 2 or 3 feet in either direction. Slide your float up or down every 30 to 45 minutes until you find the strike zone. The guys who go home with an empty cooler aren't unlucky. They just set their float once and called it a day. Picture your next trip. You're at your spot. Could be a reservoir in Tennessee, a lake in Texas, a tributary of the Great Lakes. And while the guy next to you is running a $300 Humminbird and still fishing the bottom, you drop a $1.50 rig at exactly 6 feet. 40 seconds. The float goes under. You set the hook. Crappie. He looks over. You do it again. He's going to ask you what you're using. You decide if you tell him. Click now. Get your access to high-level fishing. The water game, and let these strategies start transforming your next fishing trips. The link is in the first pinned comment. When you come back from the water after applying what you learned, come back here and comment "Caught more." That will be your commitment to your growth as an angler. And it might be exactly the step that separates the stories you hear from the stories you're going to start telling. The old river guides on the Mississippi and the Tennessee didn't have electronics. They had decades of watching the water. That knowledge is still out there, waiting for the people who bother to learn it. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss the next video.